everybody, and welcome back to our spring lunch and learn series. I almost said summer because I'm used to doing them over the summer, but we did an extra one this year because we wanted to come on and talk about executive functioning and or dysfunction, I guess you could call it. And I'm here with my coach, Krystal. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, I guess now.
It's good afternoon, Helen.
How you doing?
I am doing really well. I'm enjoying the sunshine today. I'm going to get out there today and get some vitamin D.
Yeah, yeah. And so I wanted to get started on talking about I think our third thing, which is about task or time management, I guess you could call it. It kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Yes.
So let's start off. I know we have blogs on these things, and all of you guys can catch the blog on this related to this particular topic on dynamislearningacademy.com. And up on top, it says blogs. So you can click there and catch all of our blogs. Plus, these replays continue in the feed up to 30 days. So every Friday at noon, we're coming on. And we started back, I think it was February 28th is when we did the first one on task initiation. Then we did emotional control last Friday. And now today we're doing, actually, we started on the 21st. So the 21st, the 28th, and then today we're talking about the time management. So let me ask you, we all know time is a valuable commodity in this fast-paced world. Ooh, I think it's causing people to become ADHD. So why is time so elusive for executive functioning children?
So for people with executive function, or dysfunction, should I say, or ADHD, I like to put it this way. It's kind of like we are floating in space. And we have to remember that there are things like time and our bodies. Okay. So typically people with executive dysfunction have issues with their circadian rhythm. You'll see them having a hard time staying, or sleeping, going to sleep at the same time, having routines throughout the day that people typically have. And so we have to remember that we have to come back down to it. And so when we're doing something that we're very interested in, we typically will lose track of time. It's kind of like you'll blink and then it'll be 3 hours later. And so that applies with lots of different things, and it applies with things that we're trying to focus on as well, because we typically have to rope in all of the thoughts that are coming in all at once, and try to prioritize which ones work best for the task that we're doing. And so it becomes elusive. It becomes something that's fleeting that we have to catch. And people with time management issues, and executive dysfunction and ADHD, they will seem like they're lazy with time. They'll seem like they don't care about your time. But what you don't see behind the scenes, for instance, if somebody was trying to show up on time for a job, for instance, you don't see all that went into that person getting there 2 minutes late. Because typically they tried really, really, really hard to get there on time and was still there 2 minutes late. And for a lot of people in this world, and actually most personality types, that can seem offensive, to show up late for something. And so, that's what we see. We see it with schoolwork. We see it with all areas of life. And so it causes issues in relationships. It causes issues with jobs. And it makes that person seem like they don't care. And I'm here to tell you that I have never met somebody who genuinely doesn't care about time, and how it affects themselves and other people. Mm-hmm. So.
Cool. So, of course, when we talk about kids, but I think back in the day, of course, like my days, not to give away age, a lot of adults don't know that they have ADHD or executive function or some form of it, and if they didn't back then, maybe they do now, because I think the fast-paced environment, that's why I kind of started the question that way, I think adds to it, and maybe people's jobs and what you're doing. I'm talking to adults now. Maybe your jobs have formed that, depending on how quickly they expect you to do things. They keep switching things on you. that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
So can you share 2 strategies? And I know you've got a terrific blog that we just posted on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. But can you share, yeah, can you share 2 strategies that specifically help children with executive functioning challenges?
Okay, so this one is especially for children, my favorite one, and it is to have a visual clock in every single room of the house if you can. And a nice big digital clock will work. I have them with these rainbow colors, and they're, a good couple feet wide, so there is no question about what time it is. And also we can even go back to think about Big Bend, how Big Bend had the chime, at noon, and or grandfather clock at noon, at 3, at 6, and 9. If you can set those clocks up to have a chime that goes off at that time, or at least one of them. I wouldn't do all of them because your whole house would be ringing, but you could do one of them that just kind of reminds them, hey, this is what time it is, in whatever way that is. And that way it actually subconsciously builds like a 3-hour time window. Like, okay, I have that 3-hour time window to do this, this, and this, or, that 3-hour time window to do this, this, and this. And so it's going to subconsciously build that. Also using things like digital calendars, even though kids don't have a lot of things to put on digital calendars, if you have a digital calendar, and for homeschool especially too, if you have a digital calendar that says we're doing this at this time, this at this time, Google's calendar has a little red line that goes down that, and that will build that subconscious time, that minute to minute time management, that hour to hour time management that we subconsciously need. And you can set up your home devices like your Alexa or I didn't mean to wake you up, girl. Or the Google Home, and they can actually announce different things that are happening at different times in the day. And so with mine, I don't put everything, because if you put everything on there, we're going to stop listening to it. It just becomes another background sound. But I have, when the children have to leave, when lunchtime is, when I have to pick the children up, and these things, or when bedtime is, when dinner time is, when their iPad time, and they can hear that. They can hear it all throughout the house. Like, hey, you have to put your iPad down and do your homework right now.
That's
and
nice.
There's no more screens. Like it literally just says that. It says whatever you type in there.
Oh, that's great.
And so, yeah. And so over time, it builds that routine of this is when these things happen. And you're going to see magic when that happens, because there's going to be release of anxiety, and question about what's going on throughout the day. They expect those things to end, they expect the screen time to end, and you don't see the meltdowns. There's a lot of ways to go around that. And so we utilize that very fully in this household.
That's awesome. I heard Alexa's coming out with a part 2, and it's going to be incredible. A friend of mine was on that.
2.0.
Yeah, a 2.0. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see if it kind of includes more of those kinds of things for parents. So that way you're not always saying, okay, I think it's time for you to get dressed for your ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You have something that says you're leaving, and you can set up to, like, say with Google Calendar. I like to use Google Calendar because it is something that you can set up the way you want it to. And it teaches how to do the things. There are calendars that kind of automatically do everything, but I like to start with something like that, so that they can, see how everything sets up, and how to do it themselves. And so you set that up on there, and it'll give you, let's see. So you can have up to 5 notifications that come in. So you could do one for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. The 5-minute one is my favorite, because if you have executive dysfunction and say you're sitting at your computer waiting for a Zoom meeting, a lot of times you'll be doing something else. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, I was already here, but I already was busy and forgot. Now I'm 10 minutes late. So like that 5-minute rule, saying, hey, we're leaving in 5 minutes. It's time to really hit that, put those shoes on, get to the door. Why aren't you downstairs? Those types of things. And it can be fun too. You know, you can set it up also to play music for cleaning time, you know, or something
Ah,
like it's, hey, it's time to pick up, and then it's like clean up, clean, you know, or whatever song, you know, try
and
not
maybe
to
you
pick
got to be
too.
done by the time these two songs are done playing.
Exactly. That's what we do. That's what we do around here, because it's like that audio. They know where it is within the song, you know, and they're like, oh, I better hurry. I better get this part done. And doesn't always work 100%, but it's like, hey, don't forget that this is what's happening right now. You know, you could hear it all throughout the house. We have the whole thing set up. So whatever room they're in, it's like there's no question. It's dinner time, come downstairs. And also you can set up like announcements through. I could go on and on with this. Like you can announce throughout the house with these things.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, they're incredible if you have them set up right in your home.
So I'm curious because I know, like, I was with a friend one time and she had I think she has iPhone stuff and app, whatever. And so all these things were going off. I'm like, what is that? No, what is that?
Yeah,
And so some people I notice when I'm tutoring certain kids, they actually get more disturbed the more they hear noises. So like
exactly.
buzzers going off. I have one like this.
Right.
One, they don't like timers at all. I've seen that too. So what would you suggest with kids that actually get more nervous with timers?
Well, there are, and I work with Myers-Briggs a lot, and it helps to, you know, with personality types. There are two different types. One of them that likes that schedule, that feels comfortable, and then there's another one that is a lesser population that get stressed when they're on that strict schedule to do everything. And so when you can identify your child as being that type of person, you need to be more sparse with these things, because that type of person needs more time to think around a problem, and they need to do it on their own terms. Because if you say you have to do this from this step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, it's going to stress them out. And they might
Mhm.
do step 3, step 1, step 4, step,
Oh yeah.
2. They might do it like that, but either way, they're getting to where they need to go, the way their brain needs to think around it. A lot of
Mhm.
times, if you can allow that, like say block things out in like 2-hour increments, or like in, long times, you'll see a lot of out of the box creativity happening with that. And so that's something to pay attention to, and that's something that as a coach we can identify and help you identify how your child works with that. And it can be so valuable in so many different ways.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. When you said that, I was tutoring yesterday a fourth grader, and he's very high level. Actually, he's like dealing with a sixth grader, but they're working on mixed numbers. And you know how many steps are involved in taking a mixed number in math, right? And turning it into improper fraction. And
Yay.
then he's got to find the least common denominator, right? And
Oh.
then he's got to do all this other stuff. And then the subtraction was really throwing him because
Mhm.
sometimes you had to borrow off the big numbers, right? So wow, it was definitely clear as day that he has executive functioning to me.
Yeah, executive
I even,
dysfunction.
yeah, I said something to his stepfather, and he was like, "Me too. That's me too."
Yeah.
He was telling me that.
And it's a very individual thing for people. There are different ways that ADHD and executive dysfunction presents with different personality types, and so that's important to say, that one person that has ADHD or executive dysfunction can look completely different from another one. Just like autism, you hear that talked about very openly within autism in the spectrum. But it
Mhm.
also looks like that with executive dysfunction, ADHD, and so it's important to identify which areas you can focus on with that individual. And
Mhm.
so going back to that type of person who needs that more rounded time management, um, you need to make sure that they, like I said, they have the time to think around things. And a lot of times those creative minds, when they're fit inside these little boxes, they don't do well, and then you don't see the creativity until they get later in life. And
Uh-huh.
so like I said, working with a coach, that's a really good way to help to figure out how that person operates, and what motivates that type of personality as well, because you may see a lot of apathy there because they're kind of just tired. They have, they're overscheduled and they're so tired, and yeah, so come see us because we can really
Yeah,
help you.
definitely. And speaking of that, we do have a
Mhm.
complimentary discovery call. You can email info@dynamislearningacademy.com so you can get set up for that. And Krystal will meet with you. So we can kind of get your child there going and learning some strategies and things that will help them be successful, because this is not something that necessarily a drug's going to fix, or you're hoping it'll fix itself. I hear that a lot, that
Mhm.
they're waiting till they get older. Now we prefer to work with 6th through 12th graders, because and Krystal, you can speak to that as to why
Mhm.
that is. What
Yes.
Go ahead and
Yeah,
say
so
it.
usually a child that is younger than 6th grade, they don't have enough to organize within their calendar to even work with time management. A parent typically is working as their child's executive function in that part. You're helping
Mhm.
them with their emotional control, their organization, their time management, all of that. So before that time, what I would do is speak more to the parents than the kids. Yes, there are things that we can do with the child, but it's going to be more coaching for the parent to help that parent figure out how to manage the child. And statistically, parents that have children with ADHD are more likely to have ADHD as well. And so you might get a double coaching with that, to be totally honest. But beyond that, from 6 to 12, there are a lot of different ways that we can help to engage these children, to get them focused on their academics and things that surround academia.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be great, folks. If I would take us up on this offer, free complimentary discovery call for, is it 30 minutes,
Yes.
Krystal? Yeah.
Hmm.
So 30 minutes, and we can probably give you an idea of what we're looking at. And we do have coaching, sessions if you decide to go and work with us even more to help your child. So join us again next Friday at noon. That's our last one that we're going to be talking about, but there'll be more to come after that, where we're going to be looking at webinars and maybe a panel. So I just want to let you know that we're back on here again, 12 noon on March 14th, I think that one's about organization, actually. My two favorite subjects, time management and organization.
Right.
And that's probably two of the biggest ones that most people have to deal with all the time, right?
They
So,
tie very closely together.
oh,
So.
yes, they sure do. And all these projects that kids have and things like that, I'm getting more and more calls now about tutoring and can you help them with a project? Because parents are busy, moms are busy, they're working, and
Hmm.
it takes time to sit down and kind of gauge them and direct them to do a project and get it done on time. Or
Hmm.
your child's not going to get it done, and that's a huge grade, a huge percentage of their grade is
Hmm.
usually projects.
Hmm.
So they can't afford to fail that or not
Hmm.
turn it in or
Yeah,
turn
you
it in
can't you
late.
can't rely a lot of times on the teacher to be providing that structure.
Mm-mm, no,
Hmm.
too many kids in a classroom.
Hmm.
So great. And we do have a drawing. If you comment now or you ask questions or you share, I've been looking at them. I am writing your name down. It's best that you comment, and then if you want to share, that's great too. But I would tag me if you're going to do that so I can see it. And we're doing a drawing for a gift card after March 14th, when our last one is. So make sure you comment, share, and you do it here live while we're doing these, and or on the replays. And you can find the replays again on this Facebook page. All right. Well, thank you again, Krystal, for your time. And everybody have a great weekend. And it's going to be pretty here in Atlanta, Georgia.
We have one commenter, by the way. We got Rahila, I believe, has a comment.
Hey, Rahila. Nice to see you. All righty, guys. Have a good rest of your weekend. All righty. Bye for now.
Bye.